Hi there from Northern Alberta, Canada. I'm Christy and welcome to my channel. This week in my farm vlog, we have a lot of things going on. We did some planting. I actually did a little bit of candle making. I didn't film the whole process, but here are a few clips of what I did do. I also, these actually candles, these are what I'm selling at my local shop here that I supply flowers to on my cut flower farm. Since we had a killing frost and it took out everything, I am now switching gears and going into a direction of other things other than farm stuff to sell in town. So candles are one of the things that I like to make, and these are Halloween candles, and I love these things so much. They're so much fun. They've always been popular. I've made these for years now, and they always are such a great hit. So much fun. Anyways, today in this video, I'm sharing a lot. I'm sharing processing some chickens, which, by the way, you don't have to watch. But before we get to that, we're going to do some bulb planting on my flower farm. We're doing some daffodils today. So I hope you stick around and enjoy today's video. And yeah, let's get to it. Oh, we're digging corms first. We're digging some corms out. Before I can plant anything, I need to remove all of the frost-sensitive stuff. And my little helper here, he's kind of getting into trouble, but that's okay. So I'm digging out the gladiolus corms. Look at these. These corms are multiplying. There are multiple, it was trying to perennialize, but they're not a perennial in my zone. So these were planted very, very shallow in loose soil, so I can easily pop them out. This is something you normally can't really do with glads, but the way I planted them on my farm, works really well to just pop them out just like they're onions. And so I'm pulling them, I am sorting them, and I'm selling a lot of them. So because I have too many, they all produced new corms, so I don't need to keep all 4,000 of them that would be produced. So that's what we're doing today. Glads are pretty cold hardy. They handled the frost very, very well. They had really nice, healthy greens. And so I will be utilizing what I'm cutting off of the tops of these glads. But this is the rest of that little row harvested. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to cut the green stuff off. As you can see, they multiplied and produced multiple corms. So there's no need for me to keep all of them. I just don't have the space in storage, and I don't have the space in my garden to replant these in the spring anyway. So I'm just cutting them off, and I'm just putting them in this crate for now until I can sort them and go through them and accordingly. So they're all out now. It looks so different. It was so nice having that big strip of green, but they're out of the ground, and that's one big project off of my to-do list. So I started sorting them into these mesh bags, and they won't be stored like that. But yeah, see, look at this. This is producing multiple corms. Then the original corm that we planted this spring, you planted with me this spring, it's on the bottom. It's that dark one, and then there's these two lighter colored ones. Yeah, see, this one you can see better. It was the dark little bump on the bottom. That is the actual original corm, and they grew a whole new one. So, and some of them grew 3, 4 of them. The one thing I'm really impressed with is the larkspur. Next year for my flower farm, and even just in my personal garden, I am going to ensure that I plant a lot of larkspur and a lot of statice, because we've had like almost minus 10 degrees Celsius nights, and it's just looking beautiful. It's still blooming. It's pushing new blooms, and it's just incredible. This bed, I pulled all of the corms out of there as well. In total, we had like just about 1,000. Yeah, there was 1,000 gladiolus, and so I pulled all of them corms, and I will be amending that bed and whatnot, but we're going to use those greens up. We're not going to let them go to waste, and we're going to use them to plant our new crop for this spring in our flower farm. So these are all the ones that I had to sell. There's several hundred of these to sell. And then these are the ones I'm keeping in my farm inventory. Yeah, that's how much extra that was produced this season. And these all sold within a day. So people were interested in them. I also decided to dig up my Calla Lilies. These are the black and white tuxedo time Calla Lilies. We had a really hard frost, so I'm hoping that these are okay and that it didn't damage them at all, but we'll see. Back outside again today, trying to get some more planting done. It's the time of the year where it's really warm, and then it's really cold, and then it's really warm, and then it's really cold. So we have like a wardrobe going on the ground over here, just in case. We have all kinds of goodies going on here, and I am starting to work on planting the last few hundred. I think there's 600 left of daffodils, and then I'm done all my fall planting. I have a few garlics to do, but I'll show you what I'm doing. I did pull the glads, and I had a surplus of glads, so I actually wholesaled it out. I called out to my community and said, hey guys, I have extra if anyone's interested in overwintering these in your garage. I gave them a really good deal, and they responded. So I pretty well sold out anything that I had that I didn't have space to store. I'm keeping a few hundred corms of glads that I can plant in the spring. But where we had our retaining wall here, this was all glads and lisianthus. I am putting perennials here in the form of daffodils. So I'm really excited. I actually just watched a video from You Can't Eat the Grass, and they had this as well, this variety, and it is called, the variety that I'm planting here is a mix. It's called Fragrant Mix. So I wanted that here. I'm really excited to have this here. So I'll show you what I got going on. I pulled all of the glads out of this retaining wall, and if you do recall, I planted this out this spring, and we harvested heavily off of it. It produced a lot of stuff. I already have some perennials in here, so I can't really dig too deep. I'm going to work on building it up, and that is my main focus. All the dirt that I added in here has pretty much disappeared anyways, as this is new ground. It just keeps working its way down. It just disappears. I don't know what it is. It composts down. The worms come in, they bring it around, they shuffle stuff, and then it just how I'm just gonna keep adding dirt, adding compost and stuff. So I have some of my bulbs. I have another box here. Once this runs out, I might just try to make a line and then another line, because these are a mix of colors and these are all the same. These are the Ice Folies variety, which I think, because they're really large bulbs. They're huge. Well, this one has two, so it looks even bigger than it is, but they're big. Oh, they all have two. They're all separating. So these ones, they're going to want to perennialize. They're going to want to multiply very quickly. And so I don't want to plant them too densely, because I would like to plant this out with status. So in the spring, what I'd like to do is when the daffodils start coming up, I want to, in between all of the daffodils, I would like to plant started trays of status. And that is going to look a lot like, well, here's some here. This here is status. But when it starts out, right, this is the status. I want to plant a bunch of different varieties and colors, probably the whites and the pinks and yellows to start out. And I interplanted them this year with lisianthus, which I'm surprised I still have lisianthus. We've had -7 nights and they're still going strong. Hello, beautiful lisianthus. I might actually take that in the house for myself. Find all kinds of little surprises out here. Chickens have already been in here and whatnot. But once the daffodils are done, these will start to push up and get really big, and then I'll have a display like this, a little bit neater because it won't be so messy. This is messy here. I have this interplanted. I did that with this interplanting of status with larkspur, and you know what, it looks so flippin' cool. Everyone that come through here, they always commented of how it looked so wildflower-esque, and they loved the look. It was super intentional. In person it looks so much better than it did on video and whatnot. I'm debating whether I should pull some of these Liatris out. This spot I'm going to keep them in, but I do have this group of Liatris up here, and I might pull them out. Oh look, a pink status. I think this is like a coral. Look at that. Like, isn't it gorgeous? It goes, I mean, we've been freezing cold. Some of the lupins froze pretty hard, and it's just going strong. So, but these guys, they didn't do, like, they bloomed their heads off, but I might pull them and either sell them as corms for fall planting, or I will just relocate them. But my florist doesn't really like the purples as much as the whites. So I have a ton over there that I can harvest for her. As you can see, there's lots left over. However, the bees really love them and they're not really hurting much here. So I might just leave them and find more ground to start working for more perennials. I'm gonna leave this here, this whole strip, as lupins, and then I'm just gonna keep adding lupins in different colors and varieties. We had some really great colors this year. Keep this. There's already perennials in here. We have hollyhocks in here, and so I don't know if the larkspur will come back because it's a zone 4. I'm a zone 2, so I don't know if it'll reseed itself or what, but if it does, it does, and if it doesn't, whatever. I'm probably just gonna plant annuals in here. Maybe I might actually try planting this all out here with Lysianthus, just simply because I have so much of it coming and I'm not going to have a lot of spots for it. Look at this, more. Wow. This is why. I just love this so much. So pretty. So we're definitely going to add lots more status, and that's my plan for over there. And then I'm going to use this and cover it, and then cover it with leaves, and then I'll put some netting and hoops over to keep the chickens and critters out and allow snow to come in and create some insulation. And a few days ago I had done a vlog where I had tarped or put some netting over some leaves. For the most part, it did a really good job. Over here we had some crucial, really awful winds, and it did blow a lot of these leaves, so I will have to put more leaves in there or move them around and get it more even. But it did, where the wind was blocked, it did really well, but where the wind was hitting it, it definitely could use a little bit more leaves and tension on that netting to hold it in place a little bit better. But it hasn't got the chickens haven't gone in there. I want to do that bed over there as well. I'm just waiting for the wind to stop so I have a day where I can put them on there without everything blowing away as I'm trying to get it done. So yeah, it looks very different, and I'm gonna get planting. What are you doing? Hi. Alrighty, well, I have 1.5 boxes planted. I planted them way closer together than I would have liked to, but I have a plan, and I'll explain. So I have the 2 varieties. I have the mix variety on the back side, and then I have a strip that kind of comes, it groups like with a big collection of that one specific color, which is ice folies, and then it goes all the way down with a row, and then it's the row divides the retaining wall from the mix of colors, which will be interesting because there should be some of them classic look colors in there. The reason I'm doing this really densely is because I'm going to be digging these in the fall next season, and I'm going to be replanting these at different locations. I'm planning to plant some of these down at the river, at the cabins. You've kind of seen where we go sometimes. I'm going to plant some of this stuff down there in the gardens down there, and probably give some to some of the aunties down there as well for their gardens. But this year, this is where I have to put them because I need them to go in the ground. And this is not going to be a permanent location. This is what I have available this year. Because we're running out of season, I just need to get these planted. The rest of these, I don't know what I'm going to do with right yet. I'm going to think about it. I thought I would show you some of the plants that are thriving in our cool temperatures. Like we've had seriously cold nights, and this is Bells of Ireland. They have pushed new growth. I had cut them back and they had pushed new growth. So I'm hoping that they have perennialized in this location. That would be so handy. The other plants, like the status, I've already shown you. But look at the larkspur. The larkspur has also started to push new growth and begun blooming. And we're having nights that are almost minus 10. The Lysianthus is thriving. I cannot get over how some of these cold season plants are doing so well. These are, I just showed some, this is yarrow, but I also just showed some snapdragons, and they're just doing so well. This raspberry, look at it. It is loaded, and it's so nice to be able to see some plants that are doing well. This raspberry has so much fruit on it, and looks like it hasn't even been touched by the frost. I just can't get over it. It's a fall fruiting variety. What I'm doing is I'm bringing dirt in. This is just some growing medium that I'm using up. I'm covering the bulbs. I'm actually putting some compost tea that I had made on, like amending it, pouring it over the soil. And I did that underneath as well. And then what I'm doing is adding leaves. I scrape this up by where the chickens like to hang out. So there's manure and feathers in there as well. And then I'm taking the tops for the gladiolus that I took off, and I'm laying it over to keep the leaves in place. And then we're putting hoops up and some netting to protect it from the critters. And that's that. Chaz is here. He's home helping with raking leaves. Going pretty smooth now with an extra hand. So there it is, all meshed in. Thanks for your help, man.
No problem.
So now today we're sorting our chickens because we're processing chickens tomorrow. So we're catching all the hens and treating them. Chaz loves this job. Got her?
Yeah.
Look at Chaz picking up chicks. Hey, girl. Hey. Look at her pretty colors. She's so pretty. Good job, bud.
Thanks.
Okay, so what we're doing is we're catching all the hens and we're treating them for a mite. So some of them had some scaly legs, and we've been treating them, and we've been cleaning our coop. And so what we're doing is we're putting Vet RX in some Vaseline, making basically it's kind of like a Vicks for chickens. So we just mixed in some Vet RX. This is what Vet RX looks like. Anyway, and that's what we're doing. Some of them, they had spots on their back where they had mites, and then like chicken lice or whatever. And it does really work very, very well. And we just coat their legs. So we'll do another treatment in a week or so. And but we're sorting chickens. Chaz is the chicken wrangler.
Yep.
He's definitely. What did you learn about wind oats compared to barnyard mixes?
The wind outs are so much more docile. I was just nudging her along and just could easily just pick her up. She didn't even care.
And they're all kind of like that, the hens.
Oh yeah, and all those other ones just psycho, just all over the place. It's like they're screaming.
So now you know what a crazy chick looks like?
Yeah.
So this is a wind oat we actually incubated. You got to see that in our vlogs. But they're 4 months old, and they'll be laying eggs in a couple months. And we're sorting them and putting them into a new flock away from their sibling brothers. All right, want to go in the coop? Hey, nice girl. Let's see her color. Look at that. So pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Such a pretty lady. This is the cucumberine that we incubated from a male and egg from Breezy Bird Farm. You've seen that in a vlog earlier this year, and he's our main man now. We kept him as breeding stock. So from here on out, we are processing chickens, so please, if you are queasy, do not watch. So Tyson is actually using a deep fryer, one of those turkey deep fryers or outdoor deep fryers to scald the chicken to get the feathers to release. We were so kindly lent a chicken plucker. We're so grateful because it made really quick work of this job, and we're so appreciative.
Gross.
Is it gross?
Yeah.
Chicken's butt, eh?
Bony.
So these are not meat chickens. These are actually roosters that came from a batch of Easter eggers that I had incubated, and I had tried to cross them with more of a heavier set bird, but it just didn't work because I think they had too much bantam in them. And so we are processing these. This is why we did keep our cucumberine rooster as our main man breeding stock, and we did also keep a Wyandotte rooster because they are both dual purpose breeds. We have more hens that are dual purpose breeds. They're much more meatier. So for future incubation or meat birds, we'll have hens that are dual purpose, meaning they're bred for egg production and for consumption. And also the rooster is bred for that as well, dual purpose. They're really good egg layers in their line, and then they're also produce big birds. So these guys didn't get very big, but next year when we do our next round of meat birds, meaning when we incubate, we'll get some pullets, and then we'll also get some cockerels, and we'll take those cockerels and raise them up to be our meat birds. And the cockerels will get to be 12 pounders for the Malines. So that's going to be more beneficial for us because we don't have to raise as many chickens. We will get a larger volume of meat with fewer birds. Because I don't do whole chickens in the freezer, I process them out just like you would buy a case of chicken breasts. I have a case of chicken breasts in my freezer based on how I'm processing these out. So that's what I'm working on today in this video is processing the chickens for the freezer and getting them in there in usable packets or ready for canning. So the carcasses went into a bucket of water, and then we're going to use that, the carcasses, to make stock and broths, which will go on our pantry shelves. Now up here to get the organic cartons of organic chicken stock or chicken bone broth, it's about $10 Canadian. In our store, with the kind that I use that I don't get a stomach ache from, and the kind that doesn't tend to have any added ingredients or preservatives. So to can broth myself off of each carcass, I can get 10 quarts of broth per carcass, which 1 quart is equivalent to 1 carton of stock. So we have 9 birds processed. That's 90 quarts of broth. So when you add that up to the equivalency of what I would pay for a product that is very similar to what I'm creating at home, I'm saving a substantial amount of money. And not to mention, I'm not creating a bunch of garbage. I'm not creating cartons or tin cans. Like I would need 4 tin cans to equal the amount of broth I can make from 1 quart of canning it myself. So, I'm just trying to be as sustainable and unimpactful on my environment as I can be by creating less waste, being more sustainable, and also what we're doing with the water that this stuff is getting put into as we're processing, that's going into my garden. So most gardeners know that you have to add amendments to your garden. Your garden microbiome need things like bone meal, feather meal. Fertilizer has feather meal in it usually. You need blood meal. Blood meal is something really important for roses or shrubs. A lot of the times they struggle because they don't have blood meal, and that's what essentially what it is they chemically process blood, bone, and feather to make these concentrated pellets that you're adding to your garden. You're paying a lot of money for, where I could take the product and be able to create my own and amend my soils. And that's what I did with all of the byproducts of processing chickens, is I put it and fed my garden, and I didn't have to buy anything chemical. Chaz and Tyson, we had a station going here. Tyson was he would clean the chickens. Chaz would pick out any pin feathers. Even though that we were keeping or skinning the chicken for the most part, I was just keeping a few pieces of skin. That's how we were just running it. I had one bucket for carcasses and one bucket for cut up pieces of meat, and then that fluid was going to get dumped into my flower beds and my garden spaces. It worked out really, really well. The feathers we rototilled into our garden, into an area that we were having some issues with depletion of the microbiome. So hopefully that'll bring some healing to that soil. And Chaz is learning. I gave him a chicken leg to work on. He's learning how to cut through joints and tendons in the joints, and how to find it and identify it. He did a really good job. It was his first time, and I was really happy that he was interested in participating and creating food sustainability. I mean, he incubated these chicks and raised them, and he had a full circle. They're learning about this in school, and it was just so rewarding for him to be able to say, I impacted my environment very little, and I created massive food sustainability for my family. And his head was held high at the end of the day, and that is parenting win. I don't care what you say. It truly was a great moment. So if you're interested in seeing how I processed out these chickens, I will have a separate video so that not everybody has to watch it. So please do check that out if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.